Hi, and welcome to another Retro Ramble. And we're continuing the series on the Elite games this week with part 3, and we're focusing on First Encounters. Now, first thing I want to draw your attention to is the bug there you've just seen on the planet. That's not the emulation, that's the game. Those of you who will watch Frontier last week will have heard me talk about how buggy First Encounters was, or is, I should say. Yeah, and that glitchy planet at the beginning is just the tip of the iceberg. First Encounters was released in 1995, just under 2 years after Frontier was. Originally supposed to be released for the CD32, it never materialised on that system because, of course, Commodore went under in 94. In no small part due to the fact the CD32 was a commercial failure. The last in a long line of commercial failures for Commodore, but we're going to talk about that another week. It was released on the PC, as I said, in 1995. Not to big fanfare, it just appeared. I don't even remember when it came out. I first played it in the December of that year, when I got my first PC. And I borrowed it off a friend of mine at university, and eventually bought my own copy when he wanted his back. First Encounters plays very much like Frontier. Same UI, same universe, same galaxy even, and to an extent pretty much the same, but different. In Frontier you had the two major political powers, the Federation and the Empire, the Federation being kind of like Star Trek's Federation, and the Empire being not like Star Trek's Federation. But they were very, I want to say black and white, but they weren't. The Federation was set up to be this democratic power where the rights of the individual was all important, blah, 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 blah. And the Empire was set up to be more imperialistic. Well, obviously it's an empire. More militaristic, can't say that word, militaristic. And they did a couple of things that the Federation didn't, like slave trading was a big business within the Empire. But in First Encounters, you had a third power, the Alliance, which is where the player started. You don't have the choices like you did in Frontier. You would always start on the world of Alioth in the Federation, in the Alliance. My first job was always to get straight back down to Federation space and do the aforementioned milk run from last week. A few things First Encounters did introduce was a navigational boom, certainly for me, was when you came out of hyperspace, you could click on the far right hand side of your panel at the bottom of the screen and it would bring up a list of stations you could go to in that system. Which made navigation a lot easier, because those of you who played Frontier will know you had to go into the star map, go into the planetary system, find where you wanted to go, click on that button on the far right, then click where you wanted to go, then go back into your main screen, click autopilot. Yeah, tedious. But with First Encounters, it was there. Bump! You're in Earth's solar system. You want to go to, I don't know, say Abraham Lincoln Starport. You click on the right hand side of the menu. Oh look, there it is. You click on it, stick on your autopilot, stick on your little arrowy thing, dump, gone. Another thing that First Encounters introduced, and it's been carried on today into Elite Dangerous, is access to the news networks. Well, I say news networks. It was more like journals. You started the game with subscriptions to all the major journals, and it was up to you what you chose to subscribe to. But your adventures, as it were, out there in the big bad galaxy, would be noted. So I don't know, say you took out a famous and well-known Empire official, it would be in the Imperial journals. If you did the same for the Federation, it'd be in the Federation journals. But it was in these journals that you would learn about the coming of an old friend, if you will. Those of you who've played Elite will remember the Thargoids. And as far as I remember, I don't think they were in Frontier. I think you could find a wrecked ship somewhere in Frontier, but I think that's about it. But in First Encounters, they were actually a major player. In fact, if you've been paying attention to that little introduction, glitchy as it is, but I like it, you'll have noticed a Thargoid ship appears. And you do get to a point with a mission where you get to pilot a Thargoid ship. I believe you actually get one given to you. I never got that far with First Encounters. I never persevered. First Encounters was glitchy. It was very glitchy. And we're not just talking about the introduction. There were some horrendous glitches in this game. A glitch that would cause you to crash while you were trying to dock. Similar to the one in Frontier, if anyone ever discovered this one in Frontier, if you were trying to land on a planet and you did it at normal speed and didn't accelerate time, you would blow up. I'm serious. It happened. It used to happen to me all the time. Anyway, First Encounters. You would also have a hyperdrive glitch where all your fuel would be gone before you've even used it. Oh, the list goes on. I could be here all day. First Encounters was interesting in one aspect. And I wish I'd got my CD version for my mum and dad so I could show you what I'm about to talk about. If I can find it between now and the video being put on YouTube, and I don't mean my CD because that means going to crew, but if I can actually find a copy of the CD so I can show you what I'm about to talk about, I will do, and I'll put it on my channel and the link will be in the description. If not, stay tuned to my channel and it'll be up as soon as I can get down to mum and dad's to get my copy. In Frontier, when you docked at a space station, you will have noticed you'll have had the text on the left and the picture on the right of the person you were supposed to be talking to. First Encounters thought they'd be a bit clever. And remember, this was at the advent of FMV. Well, I say advent, but around for about 2 years. Return to Zork, Wing Commander 3 had come out in 1993. But in First Encounters, when you clicked on a spaceport, you'd be presented with a little clip of somebody saying, "Hello, a greeting, welcome to the Federation shipyard," is what I remember. By today's standards, they are very cheesy. And with no disrespect to Mr. Braben, I do get the impression that they were done at the last minute with a handycam, or the 1995 equivalent, and whatever costumes and stuff they could rustle up, because they are good. But as I said, by today's standards, you'd go, oh god, no. And they're worth watching. I do remember one instance, one video clip, when, I can't remember where it is, where you go into the space station and you click, and you can actually hear the guy say action before the speaker says his piece, which is what makes me think it was a last minute rush job, which was unfortunately the clarion call for both Frontier and First Encounters, because they were both rushed to release, which is why both of them are incredibly buggy, and would probably also explain why it would take so long for there to be a sequel to First Encounters. Now, talking of sequels, First Encounters' name used to cause some confusion, because yes, First Encounters, but is that First Encounters Frontier 2, First Encounters Frontier Elite 3? I don't ever remember a magazine ever agreeing on what this game was called. I personally always referred to it as Elite 3. On my computer it was in a directory called Elite 3, because that's what it is to me. And Elite Dangerous, which was released earlier this year, has always been billed as Elite 4, so there you go. I'm going to talk a little bit about Elite 4 now, because I'm not going to be doing a video on Elite Dangerous, because it's not retro. I'll talk about it a bit more next week, in the as it exists now. But what I'm going to talk about briefly now is what we all expected from Elite 4, which was very little, because we didn't know anything. The first time I ever heard about Elite 4 would be in 2000, and again, it made a bit of an explosion onto all the gaming press at the time, and we all got very excited. And David Braben was very, very excited at the prospect of releasing it onto home consoles. The PS2 was just about to be released, and he was certain that it would be on the PS2. Obviously it isn't. It never made it. Elite Dangerous is on the Xbox One, believed to be coming to the PS4, but I can't be sure about that one. The closest anyone ever got to any material relating to Elite 4 was in Edge magazine, I think it was a couple of years later, where some pictures were published of just a concept drawing of a girl running down a corridor. And to me, that doesn't really say a lot. What does that mean? It's just a picture of a girl. But hey ho. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot to say about First Encounters. It's Elite 2 with a few more tweaks and a lot more bugs. So it's not been as long as last week's. Next week's will be quite lengthy, because in my final part for this series I'm going to be covering the legacy of Elite, the games that came to us thanks to Elite. And there's some good games, and there's some not some good games, and there's one awful game. But we'll talk more about that next week. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Apologies for the length. Not just the lack of material, it's also production time. I'm running against the clock. I tried recording it yesterday and my camcorder didn't save it, but that's neither here nor there. Take care. See you next week. And don't forget, if you haven't already, press the subscribe button so you can get notifications and whatnot about our latest videos. And if you've already done that, you're not off the hook. Down there, that thumbs up thing, give it a press, give us a thumbs up, you know you want to. And also, leave a comment, start a discussion, tell us what you think, tell us if we've got anything wrong. Because it's not us that's wrong, it'll be you that's wrong, but, you know, it's a free country, you can say what you want. Bye.